Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel SF with Iki. This is Aman Kumar and I'm a 22-time certified Salesforce architect. Last week we asked Salesforce a question with nothing but a URL and it answered in pure JSON. No screen was involved and that was headless. But I'll be honest with you, Workbench did all the hard part for us. It quietly handled the login, the token, the security. Today we take those training wheels off. By the end of this video, your code will hold a real Salesforce token. It will run a real query against your org and print live accounts into your terminal. Last episode, Workbench held the token. Today, you hold it. That is the whole leap that's changing in this episode. A quick recap. In episode 1, we discussed what the headless API is, and we used Workbench REST Explorer to get an account by its ID. And Salesforce handed back JSON with no UI, and that is our definition of headless. Today, we throw away Workbench, we build our own connected app, we request the token from inside a Node script, and we run a SOQL query that prints accounts. 4 moves, and at the end of them, the token lives in your code instead of someone else's too. Let me show you why the one shift matters so much. One sentence for today. Headless really begins the moment your code, not a browser, holds the token. Take a second with that. Because once code holds the token, 3 things becomes possible that a human clicking a screen never could. It runs without you. 3 a.m. jobs, cron schedules, lambda functions, nobody is awake to click login and nobody has to be. It scales by itself, one token, thousands of API calls. And code never gets tired of pasting URLs. And it's auditable. Connected app, scope permissions, and an expiring token. That's a clean security audit trail. Remember that 3 a.m. snowflake job I described in my last video? This is the episode where it stops being a story and becomes something you can run. But first, the 3 ingredients. Let's see the ingredients one by one. Every code-driven Salesforce integration starts with exactly 3 things. 1. A connected app. That is an OAuth client you register inside your org. It hands you a client ID and a client secret. Think of it as an API key for your code. 2. An access token. A short-lived JWT, good for about 2 hours. Your code trades its client ID and secret for 1. Then carries it on every call that we made after that. 1 HTTP request to get the token. 3. An API endpoint, the URL of the thing we want. It can be a query or a DML. And it is the same URL family we used in episode 1. Here's the mental model for today. The connected app is your code's ID base. The token is your day pass that you get on the front desk. And the endpoint is the room it's allowed to walk into. Once your code is holding that pass, it is the user. No screen is needed there. Let's go build the base. Now, full honesty, this is the one time in this entire episode we open Salesforce. We set the connected app once and then never touch the UI again. So let's do it fast. Let's click on the gear icon and go to setup. We will find for external app, and under external client apps, we will click on external client app manager and we'll create a new external client app. Let's give it a name. And paste in our URL. Distribution state can be local. If you're packaging it, it needs to be packaged. We can enter a contact number, an info URL, any logo that we want to have to the connected app, any icon that we want to use, and a description so that we remember what the app is used for and where we used that app. This is very important. It's optional parameter here, but in real live orgs or real projects, it will be very useful when you don't know what the app is used for and where it's being used. Now under API, let's enable OAuth settings. And for our demo, we don't need a callback URL, but Salesforce requires it. So let's paste the URL from the browser. And for scope, let's take API. That is the only scope that we need. And let's enable client credential flow. And we don't need any other settings. Let's hit create. It will take around 10 minutes to propagate the app. So you need to wait for it. If before that you try to use the app, it might throw an error. Now the one step everyone forgets, we need to do an extra step for client credential flow. Let's click on the policies and click on edit. Now go to auth policies, and here we need to select enable client credential flow. And in this, we need to pass in the username of the user that we want to have for this particular flow. If it's an admin user, that's good. If not, it should have the API enabled permission. Otherwise, it will not work. Let's hit save. Now let's get the client ID and client secrets. Let's go to settings tab and click on consumer key and secret. It will open in a new tab, and it will definitely send you a OTP that you need to use, and type in the OTP. Only then you will be able to see the client ID and client secret. I've already copied that, so I'll not be entering the code here. Let's close this window. One thing to remember, always use .env file to store your client ID and client secret, and never commit that secret to a git, a .env file plus a .git ignore line. Now let's see how the code will get our token. Well, your Node script has two things, the client ID and a client secret. It wants one thing back, that is the token. So it posts the client ID and client secret along with the grant type client credential to Salesforce endpoint. The endpoint would be service auth2 token. Salesforce checks the app and its secret, runs the request as your assigned user, signs as JWT, and hands back two values, the access token and your instance URL. One request, one response, and notice what's not in that request. No username, no password, no human at all. That is the whole point of client credential flow. It is how one server proves itself to another. The 3 a.m. job, the Lambda functions, the integration, nobody needs to log in. Episode 3 widens out to the flows you reach for when a real person needs to sign in. For machine to machine, client credential flow is the one that you need to use. Now let's see what the script looks like in VS Code. So this is how your .env file will look like. You will put the sf my domain, needs to be your domain without the forward slash. Then sf client ID. Variable names can change according to your project. You can have any variable names that you want to use. It can be client ID or it can be sf client ID. Doesn't matter. It will be something like this. And then sf client secret. We only need to store three things in the .env file. Now the get-token.js file. This is the file that will run when we ask for a token. We will pass the client ID, the client secret, and we'll post a request to service auth2 token, and the grant type would be client credentials. In response, Salesforce will give us a token as well as instance URL. We will write that to our sftoken.json file, which is this file, which will only store the token and the instance URL. Now, let's see another script that we'll be using for the demo, list account. In this, we will be using that same token from the token file sftoken.json. We will read that file, we will store that in token, and then we will retrieve the access token and the instance URL. And using these, the instance URL and the token, we will ask Salesforce a query, select ID, name, industry, annual revenue from account, order by annual revenue in descending, and we'll limit that to 5. And it will fetch that query from Salesforce and it will return a response. In data, we will see our records. we will loop on the records and we'll use console log to see the name of the records along with its industry. And if industry is not available, it will show NA. In the package.json file, we are using the script to have a name that we can easily remember, like token, to get the token. And when we run the token, it will run this file. When we run the accounts, it will run this file. Okay, now let's open the terminal. Go to terminal tab. Let's see the node version that we are using. It's saying 18. Let's change that to 20. And now let's run the code. npm run token. And as you can see, the token has been saved to sf-token.json file. This is the file. Now let's run our other query or other script. npm run accounts. And as you can see, we got 5 accounts. These are ordered by the revenue that these accounts have. And if you want to see the revenue as well, then we can change that in this file. Let's add this. Okay, now we also have the revenue in there. Let's run the script again. And as you can see, the revenue for these 4 accounts was NA, and for the last one, it's something like this. Well, let's run our 3 tests from the episode 1. Could the caller be anything? It was a script. Was the responses data? Pure JSON. Did anyone load a UI? We did not. 3 of 3. Your terminal is the head now. No browser ever opened, and you can see the response in JSON, or you can use it anywhere you want in your code. Now let's see where you can actually use this. Okay, take one concrete example. A nightly Salesforce to Snowflake sync, same pattern you just wrote, scaled up, 3 a.m. cron fires a node script on Lambda. 1 second later, it grabs a fresh token. A second after that, it queries every account modified since the last run. 14 seconds in, and 12,000 rows are sitting in Snowflake. Why is that a headless win? No human, nobody opened Salesforce. Nobody was awake. The org never knew the difference. 14 seconds, the same job by hand in the Lightning UI is 4 to 5 hours of clicking and exporting the data, then auditing that. The connected app logged every call, so you know exactly what ran and when. That is the exact pattern you just built, only bigger. And that is the episode 2. You built a connected app, your code is holding a real token, and you have pulled your live accounts from your org without ever opening a Salesforce page. In episode 3, we will discuss about auth flows, 3 of them, when to use which one, and how to keep your secrets out of GitHub. Today's client credential flow is exactly right when there is no human in the loop. Episode 3 is about the flows for when there is a real user signing in through a browser. If you found the session helpful, hit the like button. It tells YouTube to put this in front of more Salesforce devs. Subscribe and ring the bell so episode 3 lands you in your feed. And if you got stuck, connected app giving you trouble, token not coming back, tell me in the comments. I'll be happy to help. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.